I spent months preparing my daughter's first birthday party, but my mother-in-law had other ideas. When I unwrapped her special gift, my heart fell because I wasn't even in it. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin. I find myself reliving that one moment in my head again and again. Like perhaps if I go far enough back, I'll understand what I could have done differently. But each time it falls the same way. That same crushing, gut punch sensation in my chest. It was going to be my daughter's first birthday party. One of those milestone events you spend weeks dreaming about. You know, balloons stuck to the ceiling, swirly frosting on the cupcakes. Everyone's smiling for the pictures. Except now. That's not exactly what people recall about it. What they recall is me standing in the center of the room, informing my mother-in-law that she had to go. And sure, I know how it sounds. I've been getting it all day long ever since, from her side of the family, from my husband's brothers and sisters. People saying that I overreacted, that I spoiled the mood, that I made it all about me, when it should have been about the baby. But there's things people don't see. Things that have been building up for months, years, really. See, when I married into my husband's family, I knew I wasn't exactly the kind of woman his mom had envisioned him being with. I mean, she was always courteous. That smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, sort of courteous. Always, "Oh, it's so good to see you," while her eyes were already scanning off somewhere else. I dismissed it at first. I thought perhaps it was just how she did things. Some individuals are like that, guarded. But it continued, particularly after we made the choice to carry our daughter through a surrogate. Erin's been friends with us for years, more family, really. She's my husband's best friend from school. Intelligent, compassionate, the type of person you'd entrust with something as enormous as carrying your child. That's why we asked her. And to be honest, I thought my mother-in-law would understand, that she'd realize Erin was the gift she was to us. But things got strange. At first, it was little subtle things. Back into compliments, you know? Compliments about how lucky my husband was that Erin could provide him with a child that carried on his side. Or little comments about how modern families sure are strange these days. She'd post photos of my husband and Erin together, holding the baby at a family picnic, and caption them as if they were this idyllic little family, omitting me entirely. It wasn't just on social media, either. At the gender reveal, she made this entire toast on motherhood. And it wasn't even about me. It was all about Erin. How brave she was, how selfless. Which, don't get me wrong, Erin is both those things. But it seemed like my mother-in-law wanted to erase me from the entire narrative. I didn't let it get to me. Really, I didn't. There's this phenomenon that occurs when you swallow tiny slights like that over and over again. You reassure yourself it's not worth making a scene. That perhaps if you just let this one more time, it will all get smoothed over. But it doesn't. It just accumulates until one day you reach your breaking point. That day, for me, was my daughter's first birthday. We made it simple. Just family and close friends. Nothing extravagant. Cupcakes, a mini smash cake to destroy balloons. I spent days crafting these little ornaments, popping up banners, organizing snacks, making everything feel cozy. Ours. For once, I wanted a family gathering where I didn't feel like the extra. They began to arrive, smiles, hugs, all of them cooing over the baby in her birthday outfit. And it was fine for a bit, like I could perhaps just manage to enjoy it this time. Then my mother-in-law arrived, late as ever. She made a beeline for me, large gift bag in hand, that rigid little smile. "This one's from Grandma and Erin," she informed me, passing it over like she were giving me an award. Erin, who was present already, looked bewildered. She'd arrived with her gift beforehand, clearly marked and waiting along with the others. Something about that was already making my stomach twist into knots. But she made me open it there, in front of everyone. The baby was occupied smashing frosting on her face, so I thought, oh well, whatever. One more present won't hurt. I went to pull out the tissue paper, and there it was. A framed drawing. One of those handmade family portraits you find on Etsy or something. Stylized, bold colors. Except, it was my husband, Erin, and the baby, just the three of them, in front of our house. I wasn't in it, at all. My hands actually shook. I had no idea what to say. Everyone else just sort of froze, like there was no air in the room. My husband leaned in, voice low but keen, and demanded to know why I wasn't included. And my mother-in-law? She shrugged, said it wasn't supposed to be read that way, that she just wanted to take in how connected who created our daughter was. Her precise words. Then she glanced at me, straight in the eye, and said something along the lines of course you're part of her life in your own special way. As if I was the babysitter. I could feel my face go hot, like my skin didn't even fit right anymore. I don't recall thinking before I said it. The words just tumbled out. You need to leave. That's all I said. Her eyes went all big, like I'd hit her. She told me I was reacting, making a big deal out of it, that it was merely a sweet memento. But I was not listening. I said to her outright, she could slip away quietly, or I'd have someone escort her off the premises. And that was it. She departed. The room was so silent after she left, you could hear someone breathe on the other side of the table. Erin didn't say a word at first. She just sort of massaged my shoulder that quiet way friends do when there's nothing left to say. My husband took me aside afterwards, said he was proud of me for standing up for myself. But now I find myself replaying it. The messages began pouring in that evening. My husband's siblings, for the most part, telling me I'd embarrassed her, that I should have waited to deal with it after the party, that I'd ruined what was supposed to be a celebratory day. I don't know. Maybe I did. But being here now, I just keep thinking of all the times that I bit my tongue. Each toast, each post, each little moment when I let her render me invisible. And I wonder if letting it pass one more time would have made any difference. Or if perhaps that was the day it had to be. The thing is, I wasn't standing up for myself alone. I was standing up for my daughter as well. Because one day, she's going to look back on these pictures, these tales we tell her, and I want her to know exactly where she's from. Not the ones who bore her, but the ones who adored her every single day, every single way that counts. Even if some people couldn't. Even if they never will. The following days after the party were subdued. Not the quiet that's good, anyway. That phony, too silent quiet that weighs more than sound. My phone never did stop ringing. Husband, sister, brother, cousins, all with the same type of message. Couldn't you have waited till after the party? You cried her, you know. I understand that you were angry, but you went about it the wrong way. Every time I would see one of those messages appear, my stomach would twist. And for a moment, I began questioning myself once more, like perhaps I had actually made it worse than it had to be. But then I'd think about that photo. That posed photograph on my kitchen counter, still in the gift bag, face down like I couldn't bear to look at it. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That wasn't some innocent slip-up. That was deliberate. I don't care how sweet she tried to make it sound. She knew exactly what she was doing. My husband kept telling me I'd done the right thing. But he had his own way of handling stuff like this. He wasn't the type to blow up about family drama. Usually, he just let things slide and keep the peace. Except this time, he didn't. 2 days later, after the party, he informed me that he was heading over to his mom's house to sit down and have a real talk. By himself. I didn't question what he was going to say. I didn't have to. During his absence, Erin came by. I hadn't seen her since the party was over, and I truly wasn't certain if she'd even want to get involved in the middle of it all. But she came anyway. Brought emergency coffee, she stated, holding up 2 cups like it was nothing. We sat at the kitchen table, both of us being sort of quiet for a little while. It wasn't awkward, really. More like neither of us knew where to begin. Eventually, she cleared her throat and stated, I should have said something sooner. I furrowed my brow. About what? She shrugged, peering down into her cup as if it held the secrets. Your mother-in-law, the way she's been behaving. I saw it. I've been seeing it. And I just kept keeping it to myself because it wasn't technically anything about me. She looked up then, her face strained. But standing there, seeing her give you that picture like it was some sort of award. I don't know that I've ever been that mad in my life. I got a knot in my throat. You don't have to apologize, I said softly. That's not what you do. None of this is your doing. Erin smiled at me this sad sort of way. Yeah, but it's not really fair either. And for what it's worth, I meant it when I said you did it better than I would have. I probably would have chucked the thing against the wall. That actually made me laugh. One of those sharp little laughs that catches you by surprise because you didn't know you had any left. It was good. We just sat there a bit longer, talking, not just about the party, but everything. How strange it is dealing with family business when surrogacy comes into play. How humans are always wanting to put things in nice, neat boxes. Mom, dad, baby, and get upset when the pieces don't all fall into place perfectly. Like Erin, I hadn't already discussed it, though. But something about this was different, more real. By the time she was gone, I felt more grounded, somehow. Like I wasn't totally losing my grip on sanity. Then my husband got home. I could see from the expression on his face before he'd even spoken that it hadn't gone too well. She really doesn't understand, he said, placing his keys on the counter with a sigh. Like, not at all. Did she say anything? I asked, preparing myself. He rubbed the base of his neck, as if the words had a physical weight to them. She told me she was only attempting to celebrate Erin's position, that she didn't mean to wipe you away, that she believed you were solid enough not to mind. I breathed a sharp burst of air out my nose. Solid enough? I echoed, my tone flatter than I intended it to be. Yeah. He shook his head, and then she turned it around, told you that you embarrassed her, made the party horrible, made her feel uncomfortable. Typical. Always concerning how things appear to her, never concerning the true damage she was causing. I folded my arms, the nails biting hard into my skin through the sleeves. And what did you tell her? He glanced at me then. True steady. No pause. I said I told her it wasn't about her, that it never was, that she's been spending the last year acting like you're an option in your own family, and I wasn't going to let that stand anymore. My chest did a tightening thing for the second time, but this time it was a warmth. And I asked, and he told me, voice a bit gruff. I said we're going on hiatus. From visits, from messages, from the whole shebang, until she's willing to treat you with the respect you deserve. I had no words. For a really long time, I just looked at him, and then he moved closer and wrapped me in a hug. One of those full-body, no room between us hugs that can speak volumes that words can't. I'm sorry it took me so long to really see it, he said softly. But I see it now. And suddenly, the grip in my chest relaxed. Not fully, not entirely, but enough. Enough to finally catch my breath again. After my husband put the boundary with his mom, things in the house got quieter again, but this time in a way that actually felt peaceful. No more incessant pings from family chat. No more obligatory brunches where I had to sit there and be all fine while Emile made snide remarks under her breath. For the first time in months, it was like just us. Our little family. Me, my husband, and our daughter. And I hadn't even noticed how much I'd been yearning for that peace until we had it. But I won't be dishonest and claim that it all just magically felt better. There were still times, such as when I'd scroll through Instagram and glance at old pictures Emile had posted with Erin and my husband in them, or when someone casually referenced her, where that knot in my stomach tightened once more, where I'd second-guess myself, question whether or not I'd actually made things worse for everyone. One evening a couple weeks after the party, I lay awake. I got out of bed, walked over to the kitchen, and just stood there looking at that present bag. It was still on the counter, unopened. I'd placed it there deliberately, like I couldn't quite force myself to chuck it in the trash, but couldn't bear looking at it. This time, however, I opened it, placed it in front of me, and unwrapped the tissue paper until that framed picture was glowering back at me once more. And still hurt, still constricted my throat. But I didn't feel embarrassed anymore, or ashamed. I felt angry, because this wasn't some sentimental memory. It was a message, one she'd attempted to send loud and clear. And I was not going to let that message reside in my home a moment longer. I picked up the frame, simply stepped outside to the trash can, and tossed it in. That was it. No grand speech. No soap opera drama. Just done. The following morning, my husband caught on immediately. You finally got rid of it? He queried over coffee, his tone measured. Yeah, I said flatly. I don't want that energy in the house. He gave this slow nod. I'm glad, he told me. And that was the end of it. But, as always, life doesn't remain quiet for long. A couple of days later, Emile arrived, unannounced. I was alone with the baby when my husband was out doing errands. Doorbell. I looked at the camera first because I wasn't going to get caught unprepared again. She was there, standing on the porch with a bakery box. For a moment, I didn't feel like answering. But then I thought, no, this is my house, my space. I get to decide who comes and goes, not her. So I opened the door. She looked surprised, like maybe she thought I'd play pretend like I wasn't home. I just wanted to drop these off, she said, holding out the box. Cupcakes. From that place you like. I didn't take them. Instead, I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. What do you really want? I asked. Not mean. Not rude. Just exhausted. She let out a breath, gazing at the box as if it had become too much weight. I've been thinking, she said quietly, after a while. About everything. About what went down. I didn't reply. Just waited. Her voice dropped quieter. I didn't mean to make you feel excluded. I know it probably feels like I don't care about you, but I do. Your family, too. That word, family, sounded strange on her lips now. I cocked my head a little bit. Do you really? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Because it hasn't felt like that. She blinked a bit, like she hadn't thought I'd dispute. I just always pictured things one way, she said, her voice breaking slightly. When I envisioned my son's life, his family, and when things didn't quite turn out exactly like that, I guess I didn't know what to do with it. I breathed slowly out through my nose. Not that it excuses what you did to me, I said, or what you did to Aaron, or what you attempted to do to the story like I was this background person. She swallowed hard and nodded. I know. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air between us like something delicate, and I believed her. Not all the way. Not even close. But enough. Enough to leave the door open a crack. I just finally grabbed the box out of her hands, placing it inside without an invitation to come in. We're not just going to forget everything, I said to her sincerely. This isn't something you fix with cupcakes. I know, she repeated. But I continued, voice slightly softer, we'll see. And that was it. She walked away after that, quieter than I'd ever seen her. When my husband came home, I explained what had happened. He didn't speak much, just put his arms around me from behind as I worked at the counter cutting up fruit for our daughter. And as strange as this sounds, that was like winning. Not some huge blowout victory. Just quiet. Real. Ours. It's been a couple of months now since the birthday party, and everything is just not perfect. But they're quieter. And Mile hasn't quite transformed into a different human overnight. I didn't anticipate her to. She'll send the occasional text, drop a comment on a photo of our daughter. Sometimes she sends a little card or a box of cookies. Small gestures. Careful ones. And that's honestly fine. We've kept some distance by choice. Not out of anger anymore. Just boundaries. And it feels good. I've learned a lot since all of this happened. Like how simple it is to get lost when somebody just keeps attempting to pin you out of your life. But also how powerful you can feel the moment you say, no, I'm here. I belong. Our house feels different now. More like ours. It's in the little things. The way my husband automatically grabs me for a kiss while I'm loading the dishwasher. The way our daughter babbling, Mama, at me when she holds up her toys like she's introducing me to her entire world. The way Erin still drops by from time to time to hang out, have coffee, and laugh about how crazy things got, but very clearly remaining in her role as aunt, not anything more. There's this one moment I just keep thinking about recently. My husband and I were creating a photo book for our daughter a few weeks ago. One of the cheesy online ones where you choose the template and the captions. We were going through all these pictures from the last year. Hospital pictures, little milestones, random days in the park. At some point, I grabbed a picture of me sitting with our daughter on my lap. Her face was covered in frosting, and I was smiling. It wasn't staged. It wasn't edited. Just my kid and me. That moment. And my husband leaned over my shoulder and said, "That one's my favorite." That's when it came to me. I don't need anyone else's picture of what my family is. You mean one that doesn't require approval or spotless portraits or Instagram stories from anyone else. It's in the still mornings, the late nights, the tiny messes, the real stuff. So yeah, do I still sometimes feel that sting, remembering how Emile made me feel like I didn't count? Sure, but I also know now, really know, that I don't have to fight for my place anymore. I already have it. And honestly, that's all I ever wanted. If you've ever gone through feeling invisible to the people who are supposed to love you the most, you know exactly what this is. Click subscribe for more real stories like this.